Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Cancer energy. And like usual, we're going to do 2 rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Cancer energy. People who are trying to move forward in hope and faith and belief and wanting to heal and grow and mature themselves and free themselves from things that manipulate them. Now, I will refer to shadowy people being up there because there's always shadowy people in the world that we're dealing with. And to different degrees, you could look at shadow as, and it can be us in relationship to other people. There's always going to be people who are more mature, more stable, more grounded, more confident, more bold and brave and confident than us. But then there can just be people in the world that we might feel are more immature, self-indulgent, more about themselves, bossy, controlling, lazy, prideful, something along that line, right? So we can deal with people. Shadowy people can sometimes try to present themselves as more high vibrational than they are, sometimes trying to trap a more loving, kind, considerate, whatever type person in a relationship with them, but they don't really want to do love. And they might not want to be just or fair or treat other people the way they like to be treated. But they could hope that they could trap someone in a relationship with them to indulge them for the rest of their life, male or female. And so we talk about shadowy people maybe up there too. Now, another way to read this reading is the bottom row can just kind of represent our comfort zone and some of our fears and our insecurities. It can also represent some shadowy people in the world. So anyway, we're talking about Cancer energy. It's emotional water sign energy about love of self, love of others, what we love. And again, some people are motivated and inspired by love. They've learned lessons in love. It is about treating other people the way they like to be treated. Everybody can have some growing and maturing to do and some bad habits they need to temper. But in general, high vibe is motivated by love. More worldly, shadowy people, what they love might be themselves more than anyone else, which can make them self-protective and defensive, or they're more egotistical and self-centered, or they could love things they like to indulge in to make themselves feel better, and those things are more important to them than love, or they more love the world and making their life about the world. So it's kind of a lot to cover, but we'll do the best we can. Okay, so the reason for the bottom, well, for one thing, let me start out. Down here we have 3 masculine cards. Up here we have 1 masculine card. And the masculine cards can represent how we're presenting ourselves in the world. The feminine figures can talk about how we really think and feel. So keep that in mind. Now, the reason for the bottom row's reading is the occupation card, and that's the feminine figure. So, I kind of view the occupation card as like the 8 of Pentacles and Virgo energy. And all of us probably, our truth can be love, but for the first 30 to 50 years, we're pretty caught up in the world. And in our earth sign energy of ourself emotionally, there's a lot of things in the world that we want to manifest or that we might want to go indulge in. And that can kind of skew our judgment. We might be a loving person, but instead of letting love and intuition and having more hope and faith and belief in our dreams, we might be a little more tempted in our more worldly nature emotionally, is what that can talk about. And the reason for the top row's reading is the change card, where we might put less priority on those things of the world, and partly maybe why that can happen to people maybe when they get older is because they have changed, and the things of the world and some of the things they wanted to go indulge in that they thought would make them happy, they've already indulged in it. They kind of learned what did make them happy, what didn't make them happy, kind of maybe grew and matured themselves over time, which is high vibe Virgo, learn these lessons in life, which is high vibe Virgo, and then they're kind of not the same person that they were before. And I kind of view the change card as like the 5 of Wands. And the 5 of Wands comes after the 4 of Wands. And the 4 of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. So, in our first 30 to 50 years, we're pretty caught up in ourself and these things that we want to manifest with other people and people we love and things we enjoy. But again, still kind of more driven to a degree and so influenced by these things of the world. We want to have put work and effort to have stability and security in our life. We want to be in friendship and relationship. We want to have a job. Maybe we want to have a career. All those kind of things. And we're on this journey to learn all these lessons. And when we start out from a baby onward, we've got lots of lessons to learn. That's what Virgo talks about. So, if some people go and throughout our life, we go through stages of life where we learn lessons, and then we kind of detach from that way of living life and viewing life. We've kind of learned the lessons we were meant to learn at that phase of life. We're kind of ready to move forward, be inspired to move forward differently. But it can cause us at any of those stages of life, the change card being like the Five of Wands, it causes us some inner conflict because we have to leave behind an old way of living or viewing life, or habits or vices or more immature ways of being, to kind of temper our more egoic nature and self-indulgent and staying in our comfort zone nature, to face our fears, to move forward in life differently. We start out the top row with the official person, which reminds me of the Emperor card, which can be about learning these lessons and making the decision that I did kind of learn everything I needed to learn. It is time for me to move forward and face my fears and grow up and all that stuff. So we went through those phases when we went from age 15 to age 18 to age 21 to age 25. And some people are kind of motivated to keep doing that throughout their life. I think if you are more connected in with listening to your intuition does tell you, and Virgo energy can talk about these different gifts we've been given and unique talent, skills, and interests and resources we've been given. And one of the gifts we've been given is our intuition, to listen to our intuition when it's kind of time to move on. Or when we go down a wrong path, it's like, oops, whoa, wrong way. That is not aligned with my truth or a good path for me, and I see the truth of it. And high vibe people are less inclined to be maybe in their ego, where I refuse to admit I made a mistake. I'm going to keep doing this anyway. They're willing to change. Again, willing to learn lessons in life. And when they realize that, oops, that isn't what I thought it was going to be, or that didn't work out the way I thought, they don't give up their dreams. They just realize, I need to. High vibe energy is willing to see the truth, and the Five of Wands is Leo energy, represented by the sun, and it also can represent our ego. Though I have this inner battle maybe within me and my more worldly egoic nature and my hopeful believing nature, I'm more inclined to be willing to admit I don't know everything. And in Aries energy, like, I'm not the boss and I can't control everything and control everyone. And I just need to deal with the truth. If this doesn't seem to be the right path for me, or I feel like it's time to face my fears and move forward, I am willing to change. Some people, we could all know, are very inflexible and very unwilling to change. They love what they love, and they want to keep doing their life whatever way that is forever. And some people never want to step out of their comfort zone. Some people never want to face their fears. Some people, shadowy energy could be more about conforming to the world, and they don't maybe like to stand up for themselves. And because people can have a problem with that in the Five of Wands. It can, if we have other people in our life who are living their life a certain way, and then we decide, I enjoy that, I have enjoyed it, but I'm kind of ready to do some other things, like, who wants to come with and try something new? And some people are like, no, we're going to keep doing this. It's like, well, okay, well, I do want to go do some other stuff, and high vibe energy can be about being more independent. And then other people the Five of Wands can talk about, which is the reason for the top rose reading coming out. Sometimes other people in our life don't like us to change because they don't change. Some people don't like us to put in work and effort to work through our inner conflict, like past pain, heartbreak, fears, insecurities, temper our more immature nature, because there was some reason why we got along in a relationship and they want to keep doing it that way and they're okay with it. But other people started to feel like I'm ready to do something a little different. And I think, high vibe people would offer people truth and love to move forward with them. They could even feel like things kind of got out of balance because that's what the bottom row represents, that things are a little tilted out of balance. And high vibe energy is kind of like getting rebalanced. Like I went down a path of life, and at first it could have seemed just and fair, but then as time went by, slowly but surely things could have gotten kind of tipped out of balance where I have inner conflict about continuing to put work and effort into this. And if I have been putting in work and effort and I've been willing to compromise and temper my ego or heal or grow or mature myself, I would like other people to equally be willing to do that. And then, sometimes we heal or grow or mature ourselves in some ways, and the other people, it if we're trying to bring a dream into reality where we're both kind of growing up and maturing ourselves, the emperor can represent like all four suits of the deck that you've learned lessons in. And down here we kind of have the king of pentacles, and I don't know, the mature man I'd kind of view as the king of pentacles. Maybe the concern card is the king of swords. And I view the mature woman as the king of pentacles. The community I kind of view as the three of pentacles. There's no emotional cups down here. And some people don't really invest in that. Again, in our worldly nature of ourself, we were given all four suits to deal with. We've been given our heart, our mind, our 3D world, our creative passionate nature. Which ones do we invest time, energy, and effort into? Which ones are we inspired to put work and effort into growing and maturing? Some people kind of rejected Cancer energy. I don't think that's as important. My emotional nature, learning to love myself. Maybe if I have a certain status or image in the world and I work together with other people, or I have sex with other people, the fire sign energy, which Aries is also fire sign energy. It's kind of using your emotions more manipulatively. I'll use my looks, my charm, my money, my emotions, my sexuality, my social clout. I'll use all those things more manipulatively to get people to stay in a relationship with me. I don't think I have to really do love. And in people's free will of their dualistic nature, they can choose not to do love. Can they like being in a relationship, want to stay in relationships, be in relationships? Yeah. But they might not really want to put in work and effort to become as proficient kind of emotionally in all four suits of the deck or all four aspects of ourself. They'd kind of rather focus and have other people focus on being in the relationship, maybe for all these other reasons, and love really isn't that important to them. So, but up here, the people who are more balanced, and again, high vibe energy is about balance, high vibe Aries within all of us, when we've learned these different lessons and we learn that all four aspects of myself are important because I'm a human being and I have my emotional nature. I have my truth. I have my intellect. I have my thoughts. I have my 3D nature. I have my dreams, aspiration, gifts, talents, and unique skills and abilities, and my want for stability and security. And I also, in my fire sign nature, have again, kind of my dreams and my aspirations and my truth and things that I enjoy. And those can all be different. They're all equally important. And some people did put work and effort to kind of be more, a little well-rounded in all of those areas to whatever degree. Again, some people are like, if you looked at life as grade 1 through 12, you know, some people are a seventh grader kind of at that level. Other people are like a 10th grader or a 12th grader. We're all just at our own level at any given moment, but the high vibe people are inspired to keep growing and healing and maturing themselves in all these different areas: their heart, their mind, their 3D nature, their creative, passionate nature. And some people are like, no. And since we're talking about Cancer energy, people have the free will not to do love. I get hurt doing love. I'm not willing to come out from behind my ego, my more worldly egoic nature. I have decided in my Virgo nature of myself that my truth is I am going to operate more from my worldly egoic nature, male or female, and kind of viewing the Queen of Pentacles, or the mature woman, as the Queen of Pentacles. And then we have the wealthy man, and we have the mature man. I am more focused emotionally on my long-term goal of being in friendship and relationship and looking victorious and successful in the world, more feeling I need to use these things of the world instead of maybe getting more connected. Up here we have 3 emotional figures of getting more connected in with my emotions and my intuition and listening to that. So shadowy energy you can see where some people could be more conforming to the world. Well, what's everybody else doing? What's everybody else wearing? Okay, I'll do that. And they maybe don't listen to their own intuition and don't want to be more independent of the world or stand up for themselves and their truth, even in the face of seeing people who are conforming to the world that we think that's unjust, unfair, wrong, abusive, love, which Cancer is about the energy of love. It's supposed to be just and fair. We're supposed to work cooperatively with other people. And, some of the people who don't want to change are the people who don't want to have to be more just and fair, don't want to treat other people the way they like to be treated. And there maybe feel like, for some reason, that they can kind of get away with that in, relationships or friendships, or they'll just try to be in relationships or friendships with people who they think they can get away with that with. And they definitely don't like it when other people put in work and effort to grow and heal and mature themselves. And I kind of view the 3 of Pentacles or the community card as the 3 of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy. Shadowy Capricorn is the devil, and the devil can represent our more worldly, shadowy, egoic, self-indulgent nature. Some people did work and effort, and high vibe Capricorn is about freeing yourself. Freeing yourself from those things that used to more manipulate you. To do this inner work is what Virgo talks about. Why do I let these things manipulate me? Why do I make these things so important? Do I feel like anything ever changes here? Do I feel like I'm living my truth? Do I feel like I'm having to indulge people in ways that aren't aligned with my truth? But there too, even if I'm having to indulge people, should I have to indulge people? Shouldn't we all be kind of mature and treat each other the way we want to be treated? I mean, we can defer to people out of respect, but what if those people in turn aren't treating us in a just and fair way? It's one thing to defer out of respect to people. Like, you have a boss, you can defer out of respect to your boss. But if the boss isn't treating other people in a just and fair way, eventually the other people are probably going to leave. Willing to defer and work together with people and temper our ego, but wanting to work with high vibe people. So some people work through that. I think we'll come back to that in a minute. And then we have the sudden wealth card, which I view as the 10 of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. When we kind of work through some of these things that manipulate us, or even our own fear, insecurity, pride, ego, codependency, or whatever, that is us growing and maturing ourselves and freeing ourselves from a more immature version of ourselves. And that's true abundance. And then we can move forward in life differently. Because I think there are rules to this game of life that some people who harness a more shadowy Aries energy within themselves, they try to present themselves as more high vibe, but they kind of think they're the boss. Like there is no higher truth or justice to aspire to, and people should want to be in friendship or relationship with them because they can kind of present themselves as more high vibe. It's just that they're more shadowy. They're more bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or try to use these things of the world to try to get people to stay in a relationship, but they really aren't inspired to kind of keep growing and healing and maturing themselves to have a different, again, if we look back at those different stages of our life, for example, when we're 18, 21, and 25, what did we think was just and fair? How did we live our life? How did we maybe act and behave and what we viewed as possible and how much forethought we gave to things and maybe how we treated other people? Some people could have thought I might have had to change to keep up with my peer group or for different reasons when I was young, but I don't want to keep changing. I don't want to have to keep tempering my ego and shedding old layers of myself. I don't think I should have to. And, you know, are we all willing to change or are we just trying to get other people to change? And sometimes even high vibe people can do that. I've learned from tarot. Even if you're motivated and inspired by love, we can have people we love and we get in friendship and relationship with them. But were we seeing the truth when we even got in the relationship? Did we get in relationships with people who are more immature or more stubborn or more prideful or bossy or controlling or abusive? But because we love them, we kept putting in work and effort. We kept thinking, oh, one day they'll change. And it's kind of like we didn't want to deal with the truth. If they were motivated to be more mature or less bossy or controlling or abusive or tempered, they would be. But they're not. But we can all have inner conflict about wanting to see the truth. Two cards that can be about the truth. So we keep working with some people hoping one day they'll change. And basically those people could be like, this works for me. This is great. You keep putting in work and effort to make the relationship more just and fair and balanced and loving and encouraging and supportive. And oh, by the way, I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. Is offering people truth and love and encouragement a good leadership trait and a good way to try to encourage other people to change? Yes. But we can't make other people change, and sometimes we can get in our ego about it, like I'm a failure or I failed. It's like, no, we deal with the truth. Everybody has their truth and everybody has their free will, and they're either more about themselves and more about these things of the world or whatever, or some of them it's just that our dreams and our aspirations are different, or who they love or whatever is different, and we get out of our ego about it. Everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want. Sometimes we changed. People are always changing. Generally, people don't stay quite static, They're either kind of changing for the better or they're slowly over time, slowly changing for the better over time or slowly kind of changing not for the better over time. And eventually, and which some people have done and what some people are doing right now in those more relationships that have become unbalanced or they always were unbalanced, are standing up for themselves. Standing up for their own foundation in the Ten of Pentacles If I have grown and healed and matured myself, and I view this card like the Eight of Pentacles, and this is the 10, the difference between the 8 and the 10 is the Two of Pentacles. And the Two of Pentacles can kind of be, because each pentacle can kind of be, what's my truth? And, we can go back and forth for a long time, and some people are like, I'm done juggling. I'm no more going back and forth. I know my truth, and I know who and what I want to invest time, energy, and effort into, and what I'm motivated and inspired by. And if that's not your truth, High Vibe People and High Vibe Pentacles is about truth and love. I'm going to offer love to the situation. Does that not mean there might not have been some fighting and arguing and conflict and kind of some ego battles along the way? Yeah, it's not going to be pretty when we keep kind of not wanting to just come out with the truth. Because if we do speak our truth, and the masculine cards can talk about taking action, so anybody, male or female. So you could look at the masculine cards as us in our worldly vessel, taking action to stand up for what we're inspired by emotionally. And when we do that with some people, and the reason we don't do it maybe for quite a while and we keep juggling, is because that means, it could cause fighting or arguing, is what the Five of Wands can talk about. People won't like it, and things will probably change. And we've all got to work through when we're ready to speak our truth and stand up for our truth, and come what may. The Five of Wands comes after the Four of Wands, which is Aries energy. So Aries energy is about the self. I am inspired within myself to change and close out a cycle. There is a way things have been going on in something within me or in my life that I don't want to do that anymore. I want things to change. So then we have the message of concern. And it's kind of in the false person, which a false person can kind of represent our ego nature and our fear and our insecurities. So it's kind of like sending a message, because we've kind of been battling and going back and forth. And eventually it's like our more high vibe nature communicates to our more shadowy nature. I'm the main female. I'm aligning with my more high vibe emotional nature now. Because when we were kind of maybe going more back and forth, our more worldly egoic nature, we were battling, fighting in our dualistic nature about what was our truth. And the people who did overcome and the people who are overcoming told their shadow nature, no more. I have worked through things that have freed. I worked through things that used to manipulate me. Those things don't manipulate me the way they do. I've learned the lessons I meant to learn there. Our shadow nature is concerned because our shadow nature doesn't want our high vibe nature to be in the driver's seat. It's like we're driving in this worldly vessel of ourself, but only in our dualistic nature, only one or the other could be in the driver's seat. The other one kind of has to sit in the back seat. And we're telling our own more immature worldly nature, you're sitting in the back seat. My more hopeful, believing, loving nature is driving this show. And I am going to make decisions that trying to get high vibe, the way I view high vibe Virgo in the Ten of Pentacles, I'm going to try to get the best, all these things that we want. My more worldly, egoic nature wants some of these things of the world. My more hopeful, believing, loving nature and creative, inspired nature wants things of the world. I am going to be a good leader, high vibe emperor in our own life, to try to get the things that we want, but in The fives, in a way, can also talk about balance because there's 10 in every suit. Trying to get us to move forward to get these things that we want in the world and manifest the life we want, but in a more balanced way, less conflicted way, and truth and love and loving and believing in ourselves. That's high vibe Virgo. Knowing our worth and value, being more independent of our fears and our insecurities, and not indulging our more being about ourselves or thinking we're the boss, or indulging our more immature nature. We are going to take action in a way that is in accordance with our truth of knowing our worth and value and what we want to manifest. And just like then we could, when we quit aligning with whatever we were aligning with, that we were battling back and forth with, being tempted in our more worldly nature, when we kind of communicate to our own more worldly, shadowy nature, we're not doing that anymore. Then that's when we, and the Emperor is about making these decisions, we're not doing those things, or behaving in that way, or hanging out with those people and interacting with them the way that we did, because that is not our truth. And we have gone back and forth about it enough times, and I have seen the truth that if I want to work together with people, I want to work together with other people who have done some of this inner work within themselves to tell their shadow nature they're not going to keep indulging it. And they are going to grow up and mature themselves and have some more self-awareness, self-insight, high vibe Virgo, to kind of grow up and mature yourself and temper your ego, you know? Everybody has to be willing to change. And if everybody isn't willing to quit being more about wanting it their way, then other people are going to move on. And the people who were offering more truth and love and justice and fairness and trying to work cooperatively with people, I will go take those traits and characteristics and attributes, not to make people mad or jealous or try to manipulate you. I have tried that here. And you turn your back on that abundance. Like, that's not important to you. Because you're either more focused on yourself or wanting to make your life about someone else or something else. You want to maybe keep juggling the truth. And again, that's what some people want to do. I want to present myself as an emotionally mature, stable, grounded person, male or female. Oh, but I want to keep juggling the truth that it should be maybe just and fair, or love. And I just might be someone who kind of goes back and forth. It's like, well, you go back and forth. I'm going to go find people. We have this dualistic nature. We can pick our more high vibe nature, building a foundation on truth and love, or we can pick being more about ourselves or more about the things of the world. And then there's the people who still can't decide what their truth is. Well, I've picked my path. They've changed. They had been maybe putting a lot of work and effort with other people willing to change, and they did change over time. The other people seem to get to a point in the situation where nope, that's it. That's as far as I want to go. Not willing to detach from anything else. Because again, you kind of have to detach from some old ways of thinking or believing or something, right? Or you got to heal, got to work through one more thing that kind of makes you act and interact the way you act or interact with people. And they're like, no, I don't want to look at that truth. I don't want to see the truth of why I do that. It's like, okay, well, that's a problem for me. And you're right, you don't have to. But you're going to have to not deal with that with someone else. The high vibe people are than trying to change people. You offer people truth and love, encouragement to work with them together. And if that's not their truth, that's not their truth. Now, with some people in our life, we have been doing this, trying to figure it out. And we could just realize that, could you be a lovely, just fair person? Could I be a lovely, just fair person? Just like you could have a job. Is everybody there great? And you could be great. It just doesn't mesh, It just isn't clicking right, And it's the same way if somebody was going to get in a romantic relationship. Could you think they're great? Could they think both people think they're great, right? But it's just not right. What is it? It's that magical component that kind of inspires us when we feel like this is someone, just like when you become more than just friends with someone and over time they're like your best friend, and you date someone and it just has something about it that makes it different than other people you date. It's that magical component we can't control, but sometimes we try to make things that don't really mesh and fit. And some people could be trying to do that right now. And some other people are like, I don't think this is, so just not everybody we distance ourselves from, or that other people distance themselves from you. It's kind of trying to willing to deal with the truth, whatever that truth might be. If I know some people who I think are kind of bossy and controlling and immature and lazy or whatever, don't want to put in work and effort, want me to put in all the work and effort and be the one to do that, and they don't want to reciprocate in kind, well, we know who those people are. And then there could be other people that we could have had a dream that maybe even with some people, maybe we had been in friendship or relationship with them for a period of time or a long time. But again, we don't stay the same. And if everybody has kind of changed, but they kind of changed and kind of what drives them, motivates them, even though they could be loving people, maybe that could be for some people. And then with some other people, we could feel like some people did grow and heal and other people didn't like it because they really had this more worldly view of we should stay in a relationship for these reasons and we should make our life more about these things, and you seem to be kind of looking at life differently. High vibe energy is, again, less conforming to the world, not making that such of a driving factor. You still have your friends, you could still have your job and all those things, but it's just where you look at life differently than you did before. And some of those things, needless having been a human being who lives in the world, you were caught up in a lot of those things just like everybody else. But then eventually those things could become less important to you and a driving factor in your life, and what motivates and inspires you and the decisions and what you want to invest your time, energy, and effort into. But the other people are still kind of caught up in it, and that's fine. But we're kind of not on the same page anymore. And so some people won't be moving forward with us because kind of can't relate, maybe. Like, I don't get why you do that. I don't get why you want to go do that. And I don't know. Something. I'm sure if you've experienced it, I can't articulate it very well. Let's go look at the bottom row. We have the wealthy man and we have the mature woman. So, which I view these as like the king and queen of pentacles. And the concern man, kind of looking at that as the King of Swords, which again, these can be male or female. Some people had very much aligned with within themselves emotionally and in their worldly nature that, that was their truth. I am more motivated and inspired to invest my time, energy, and effort into this worldly view of life. That's what's important. And maybe didn't look at life from a higher perspective. Maybe don't believe in any higher perspective. There is no higher truth or justice to aspire to. We live on the planet. It's about me or these things of the world. That is the only perspective, And if they're in relationships with people who think, I think there is a higher truth and justice to adhere to, some of those people could like to present themselves as being that type of person, but really they do think they're the top dog in the universe, kind of, as a human being. And there are kind of, in a way, the rules of the game of life are more these worldly rules that they need to work with, not thinking there's any other ones to work with. Living more from their mind than their heart. And again, kind of didn't think listening to their more emotionally intuitive, creative, inspired nature. And that can be how they harness their fire sign energy. They harnessed it in a more worldly focused, being more worldly focused, which again, I say to a degree, all of us are, I think, through age 30 to 50, if not closer to 50, right? And some people all their life. But some people along the way could start to feel like, it's kind of interesting just how synchronicities can happen where people who you'd never think, because some people have a lot of status and image and power in the world, they could think, well, so long as I'm the top dog, if I think King of Swords, I view as Libra energy of the scales of justice of what we think is just and fair, I can kind of do whatever I want. So long as I maintain a certain image in the world and I can kind of, King of Swords and Aries can be people, male or female, that could think they're really bright and smart and have power, influence, or status or image with ever and whoever they're in relationship with, that if I present myself this way in the world, then as a more high vibe, just fair, stable, grounded, loving person, I think I don't really have to do love. And I think that I can kind of do these things that I want so long as other people don't know. And that would be them kind of being a false person to other people in the world. And, people end up finding out about it. We've had a lot of things come up in the news over the last many years of people who had a lot of power and influence and social standing or clout. And then we read about it even in the local papers and the state news of our own country, where we hear about things like that. And it could be the most flukiest thing that ends up getting the truth out. And what they don't get is, just like we have this dualistic nature within us, these big dualistic natures at the bigger picture, which we kind of refer to as God and the devil. I don't think you have to be religious, but it's a way to have the concept. What happens at the small picture happens at the big picture, that there is a higher truth and justice at play. Is there a lot of people who can get away for a really long time with some being deceptive or just manipulative and whatever it is, cheating on their taxes, or I don't know, too big to small. But high vibe energy wants to free people from what manipulates them. So it's kind of like a higher energy truth, love, justice, fairness is more powerful than pettiness, envy, jealousy. Can people do a lot of destruction and stuff in that energy? Yes, but, you know, unless the whole world dies, high vibe energy is kind of the victor because it is, though it might not look like it, it's a more abundant, stable, grounded energy, I guess, is maybe how we could look at it. But if we look at it, it's easier to talk about it in like God and the devil. High vibe energy offers people truth and love and encourages it, like high vibe energies that we can align with, help us overcome shadowy energy within ourselves and overcome shadowy people in our life. And shadowy energy just kind of wants to indulge in us, really give us all these things, but nothing ever changes in a way. I mean, we get more things, we have more status, we have more image, we have more power, we have more social clout, but they're just things. And, love is what makes everything worthwhile. And so as we kind of learn those lessons throughout our life, we eventually, at least maybe 50% of the people in a world of duality, are going to choose to be more inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness as they go on this journey of life. And some other people are going to keep, and that can be shadowy energy, more caught up in the illusion of being about themselves or these things of the world that they make really important in their life to define them and their worth and value. But again, they make those things in a world of duality where you have to make choices. Something is sacrificed. And some people, talking about Cancer energy, sacrifice love and love for themselves and standing up for themselves and feeling more stable and grounded within themselves and overcoming their own fears and insecurities. And, their more shadowy nature of self kind of runs their life. And they didn't kind of grow to their full potential. That's kind of what they sacrificed, some of them. And some of them were willing to sacrifice love because the most important thing is it to be more about them or being able to control people or have a certain status and image in the world because they were sure that would make them happy. It's just like some people make their life maybe about drugs and alcohol. No, the more I drink or the more I smoke or whatever, the happier I'll be. And they don't realize that, I think life is to be enjoyed in moderation. So nothing outside of yourself has that much power and control over you. Kind of like worshiping a false god in a way that, do I want to go enjoy my life? Yeah. Can I go enjoy my life? Yes. In moderation. Do not let some of these things of the world or even other people in your life tip you out of balance to the extent that you kind of have to sacrifice your truth and being able to stand up for yourself and in high vibe Virgo kind of be your own, respected as your own individual with your own truth, your own dreams, your own aspirations, because some people eventually are hoping you'll give those things up to either align with their truth or make your life, whatever manipulates them, let it manipulate you to that, to some degree, if not the same degree that it manipulates them. And some people were in those jobs or friendships or relationships, and it really had them up in their head because in our worldly nature of ourself, a lot of those things, job, friendships, or relationships, were things that we wanted and looked very stable and abundant in some ways, and we're tempted by that in our more want for those things in our worldly nature. But again, if we feel like we're either putting in all the work and effort to make it more high vibe and the other people aren't. Well, that's imbalanced. If there is a lot of fighting and arguing, we're maybe not on the same page, or people are being bossy or controlling, or people are being deceptive or manipulative. What do I have to sacrifice in order to keep trying to make this work? And that's when some people are like, I'm not willing to sacrifice my truth with the mature man, which I also view as like the King of Pentacles and the wealthy man. But since this one's like older, could just be someone who's learned more lessons than other people and could feel like some other people haven't learned some of those lessons. I want to work cooperatively, which is what the Three of Pentacles can talk about, with other people who are inspired to work with me more cooperatively. The Five of Wands can be competition. We could get ourselves in relationships with people who their truth is they are more aligned with the competition. They are not more motivated by truth and love and justice and fairness. They could be more about themselves. They could be more competitive, which shadowy energy can be like jealous and envious and prideful and kind of do these more immature things to try to keep people in a workplace or relationship with them, offer them more things of the world, or be more abusive or critical to wear people down. High vibe people kind of view that, if you offer truth and love to work together with people cooperatively, that is probably the better way to go about it. But some other people don't want to do it that way, and that's not their truth, and that's not how they're going to go about it. And that's when some people decide our truth is different. Everybody's got free will. And I'm going to make a decision. And then the community card here with like the man, the woman, and the child. We've also got that nature within ourselves. We've got our worldly nature, our emotional nature. And the child can be like our more authentic, but also our more hopeful and believing nature. They're standing up for like the foundation in their worldly nature, emotional nature, but we could view them as kind of indulging their more immature worldly nature. That's their truth, and our truth is I might be more inspired in that more hopeful, believing nature from love. You might be a little more about these other things. You have the free will to live your life the way you want. I have worked through seeing the truth of it. This isn't my truth. So it's kind of like wishing people peace and love to go live their life the way they want. But this isn't my truth. So I am going to face my fears to stand up for my truth emotionally. And other people don't have to change. I've changed. And I'm not the same person I was before. So what's coming up for the people that harness some high vibe Cancer energy that they might not see coming? And there'll be people in your life that continue to work through these cycles with you. You could have people in your life from your family, long-term friendships, or whatever, with other people, or just other people in the world, or meeting a new foundation of people that, because again, it can be kind of like a midlife crisis thing where, for those first 30, maybe 50 years of our life, so many of the people that we have relationships with, it was more some of these more worldly connections that we had with them that kept us in relationship with them. But if you're more inspired to not stay more involved in relationships with people just for those reasons, that I would like to invest more of my time, energy, and effort into some of the people. And again, I would offer truth and love to people to work with me and move forward with me. And you can kind of, it just has to be more just and fair and respect people as their own individuals, and that people change. High vibe people are not trying to manipulate or control people. I just want to be respected as my own individual. And I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 15 years, or 20 years ago. But some people definitely don't like it. And then there will be some people who think you think like they think. And then as you could get to know them, it's like, oh, and you also get to know them. It's like, oh yeah, you kind of have this way of viewing life. Yep, I've already been in friendships and relationships with people who view life like that. And other people could get to know you and they're like, oh, you're not more about wanting to be in a relationship to be in a relationship, or more for the status or the ego or the image or your fear or whatever, or stay in a job no matter how we act or behave. No. It's like, oh, well, I think we'll let you go and we'll go find someone else to be friends with or date, marry, or hire for the job. If they kind of get that sense off of you. Because there can be employers too that are looking, or supervisors, looking for people that they want to have work there, but they want to have people they think they can intimidate or control or manipulate. Some of those people don't want people who are more independent. And then other employers and supervisors are looking for people who are more independent. I don't want to have to prod you, and I want you to be on your own, and you do you, and that'll be great. We need someone to excel in that area, and then other people are much more, I want you to do good enough but not too good, or something. And the same thing can happen in friendships and relationships. But you're always going to have, you probably want to more align with other people who aren't as caught up in certain things that you're not caught up in anymore. More motivated and inspired, it's just, again, what did I want to go do and hang out and live my life when I was 18? What did I want to go do and hang out and do in my life when I was 25? I'm looking for people who are just on kind of that same stage of life as I'm at. What's coming up for the high vibe people they might not see coming? We have the Two of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and the Seven of Swords not showing itself. And the reason is because of the Page of Wands. So again, the high vibe people were inspired to change. And if we add the one wand to the Five of Wands, we get the Six of Wands, which can be about balance. I want to feel more balance within myself. The Two of Pentacles can talk about balance. So because you were inspired to be more balanced, you put in work and effort to probably deal with the truth of why you kind of felt left out in the cold, is what the Five of Pentacles can talk about. And you had to work through, in the Seven of Swords of Aquarius energy, some things that caused you mental conflict because you had this dream you wanted to bring into reality, but, it wasn't seeming to maybe move forward in that way. And the 5, the 6, and the 7 are Aquarius energy. And so in the 7, the person is holding the 5, but it's those two swords over there of Libra energy, of having a hard time kind of listening to our intuition. And again, we could feel like some people who presented themselves as being motivated and inspired to grow and heal and mature themselves, be just and fair, be authentic, be loving, seem to maybe be more about themselves or being in the relationship or whatever, more for these reasons of the world. And we have a really hard time wanting to listen to our intuition about it. And the 5 of Pentacles in Taurus energy talks about these different philosophy of life that people have. Some people knew when they got in a relationship with you, it was a mismatched relationship. They knew that they were, in their philosophy of life, were more inspired by themselves or the world. And they could have known in your philosophy of life, you were more inspired by love. And they were like, that's perfect. I'm kind of more about this. You're kind of more about that. And of course, they would think these things of the world kind of trump things about love. And so it should be more about their way. And you could have kind of agreed. But then there can come a time where it's like kind of realizing, but I don't think my dream isn't going to come into reality. I mean, I thought there was going to be equal give and take, and we were both going to be willing, again in the fives, like the change card. I thought we were both willing to change, and everybody could have thought other people would change their philosophy of life. Oh, there's a card hiding behind the Five of Pentacles, the Three of Wands, which can talk about that we feel left out in the cold. We were taking this action to try to bring this dream into reality, but it seems to not keep coming into reality. And the Seven of Swords can be where we kind of feel like we were deceived and manipulated. And again, if some people, just like, I remember I went for a job and my intuition was definitely telling me in the interview, there's some issues here, and I don't think the supervisor is someone I would really want to work for. I think they're quite more petty and all that stuff. But, it seemed to be a good opportunity and they presented themselves very well. And then you start it, and then you kind of realize, yeah, they're not who they said they were, and they are kind of more bossy and controlling and all this stuff. And, and you can get in relationships with people who try to present themselves as, oh, no, I'm on the same page as you, and I'm not more about myself, shadowy Aquarius. I'm not more about the world. I'm not, whatever, shadowy energy anyway. And as time went by, you kind of realize they were, and that their idea of the dream life was to keep moving forward and making their life either more about them or these things of the world. And that wasn't your truth, and you weren't willing to give up your dream. Even though you could have had love for them, and even though the stability and the security of it would have maybe liked it to work, but it didn't. Your truth is different. So, in the Two of Pentacles, you picked up your investment in it, and just like some of you are doing that, some people are doing it now, other people did do it. And then from the Two of Pentacles to the Five of Pentacles, you're no longer in a Three of Pentacles foundation with those people. No longer working with those people, because kind of maybe in their Capricorn energy and their all three of the earth signs, Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus, all three of their earth sign energies, they're more maybe motivated by these things of the world. And in all three of your earth sign energies of yourself, you're more motivated and inspired to kind of keep freeing yourself from things that manipulate you. And they might be happy with the thing that you could feel manipulate them, but they don't view it that way. Just like you at one point didn't view it that way. So, no longer willing to live a life of illusion, and you're moving forward, taking action on your dreams, and the One Wand plus the Three of Wands makes the Four of Wands, where investing in all these aspects within yourself to emotionally to grow and mature. Maybe you had to grow and mature in your more worldly nature, because maybe you invested in other things like your mind and your creative nature and your emotional nature, but maybe not so much in your own stability or security or knowing your worth and value or loving and believing in yourself. But now you're taking action to kind of grow and mature that within yourself. And then the Four of Wands in Aries energy of yourself, getting to where you're kind of firing on all four cylinders. And then when as you do that or accomplish that, then in the Five of Wands, you're ready to move forward in life differently. Because sometimes we can distance ourselves from some things. We can do that physically, but then emotionally within ourselves, we kind of need to work through these issues. And then when we've accomplished that and we've kind of worked through the mental confusion of it all, of kind of seeing that some people aren't who we thought they were, some people were, but they changed, some people never were. And we just kind of work through the confusion of it. And then we have that new beginning and we move forward in life differently, not wanting to repeat this old pattern. And just by your doing that and standing up for yourself, investing in yourself, loving and believing in yourself, not indulging poor behavior in yourself or others, it communicates a message to some other people in the world and other people that you'd been in relationship with that you've changed. And then those people could kind of be concerned because then it kind of puts the ball back in their court, but differently. You can do this whatever way you want. I'm moving forward like this. And some of those people are like, well, now I'd have to go find someone else to kind of repeat this pattern. Or am I willing to kind of grow up and mature myself and put in some work and effort to figure out why I would even choose that versus being more inspired to kind of be in that more hopeful, believing energy within myself and in love, and maybe quit living more from my mind than my heart and quit trying to control people. Or why don't I let my more hopeful, believing inner child come out to play? Why don't I have more hope and faith and belief in love? But the people who, the more stubborn, the more prideful, the more materialistic, the more about themselves anybody you know is, or the more immature and wants to be indulged people are, odds are they're going to have to go learn that lesson quite a few times with some other people and have the same experience happen, or get in relationships with some people more like themselves who also to some degree are kind of in there more about the worldly nature or something, where it's not more balanced, where, and it's like, well, how do you like being in a relationship with someone like you? How do you like people acting like that? Do you see that those people are, do you see that maybe some of the things that come out of your mouth are some of the things that other people told you? I always think that's funny to think of. In the meantime, the other people are moving on and putting in work and effort to what they're trying to manifest. And some people, they weren't willing to work more cooperatively, didn't want to see the truth. And the difference between the Three of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles is the Five of Pentacles, that they have in their Taurus energy some philosophy of life, which can be, I don't believe in truth and justice and fairness and love. Someone is always trying to manipulate and control another person. And if that's how they view life, that's how they're going to live life. And then they try to control and manipulate people, thinking it's a competition. It's just that the high vibe people in their life weren't competing with them to see who was top dog. They were trying to work with them cooperatively, that you can have your truth and be your own individual. I can be myself and have my own truth, but we could work together in respect and love for each other. We can be loving and encouraging of each other, but we all have to be willing to accept that people change, hopefully for the better. And if you're not probably changing for the better, you're probably changing for the worse. And some people did, and they don't want to see the truth of it. And some of them don't want to see that they're more about themselves or bossy or controlling or more materialistic or more deceptive and manipulative, and don't want to see the truth about other people in their life. Well, that's okay. You have the free will. Shadowy energy can be wanting to stay in denial of the truth. And some people will. Nope, I don't want to see the truth, that I should grow and mature and put in more work and effort and work with people more cooperatively from truth and love. Nope, I want to keep doing this. It's like, okay, odds are it won't maybe quite work out the way you think. Because if they try to get another loving person and present themselves as a more, like they've learned these lessons in life, but they haven't, eventually the other people in their life will kind of go through the same issue, but eventually those people will become independent. I think you're more immature. I think you're more bossy. I think you're more manipulative. And eventually those, when it keeps happening over and over, when are people, it's just like people who keep getting fired from a job because they're immature or self-indulgent, and people don't want to work with them. Some people will never want to see the truth because they indulge themselves in their more egoic nature, but they view themselves as a very mature person, but they're not. But they don't want to see the truth of it. you know? What's coming up for some people who harness worldly, shadowy Cancer energy in the world that they might not see coming? And the high vibe people, as they quit investing more of their time, energy, and effort into people whose truth is not their truth and wish them peace and love and pick up their investment in them and move forward, it provides them the opportunity to meet other people who have went through similar experiences, that are on the same page as them, that their dreams can come into reality with. Inspired by being free of your shadowy nature, and being more inspired by truth and love. People who have tempered their more egoic nature of self. Those are the people your dream can come into reality with. And there will be people who will see that you're not repeating some of these patterns or living your life that way, and they'll work with their own issues. And some of those people will communicate with you that they want to move forward with you. And you are aware now that some people are just the next shadowy person who wants to be in friendship or relationship and indulge in a relationship with you. And you will, out of love for yourself, be willing to work together with people to get to know people. The pages can kind of be you keep people in the friend zone until you see kind of what their truth is, kind of illuminated to the truth in Leo energy. And the people who you think, yeah, you're a little, I think, you've kind of probably already showed me that you're can I get along with all sorts of people in the world? Yeah. Do I want to get in a more involved relationship with you? No. It's just that some of the people in our life, we probably gotten more involved relationships with them. They were in our family, so that's kind of harder. The King and Queen of Pentacles also is the only married suit of the deck. Could have been someone we did want to marry at one time, or we did marry. And now it's like, taking these lessons that we've learned, I can get along with people just like I've gotten along with other people in my life. I'm just not going to get in a more involved relationship with people. I've already had enough people that I've gotten entangled with that I've just kind of more emotionally maybe matured, and I'm not going to get more emotionally involved with people who, if I think they're more deceptive and manipulative, and there'll be people who I invest less and less time with because I don't want, I'm looking for the people who are more high vibe. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Cancer that they don't see coming? The Empress. Why? Because of the Knight of Cups. What they don't understand is people who harness this energy in a high vibe way because they harness it in a more shadowy way. They're kind of like a bad mother to themselves. And in their Libra and their Taurus philosophy of life, they're still caught up in the illusion of themselves or these things of the world. And that's what they want to keep giving birth to. I want to keep giving birth to this. I don't want to change. I want to keep moving forward like this. I don't think I have to change. I indulge myself in my illusions about the type of person that I am. And then they're looking to find someone else who will buy into the illusion of who they are too. And that's the kind of person they want to move forward with. And they can get people to get in friendship or relationship or take that job But they could always be surprised when other people harness these energies in a high vibe way in their Libra, Taurus, and Pisces energy. They do invest in putting in work and effort to make things just and fair, but they're not willing to live in an illusion. So this Pisces can be about being emotionally confused about the truth and getting caught up in things in the same way with Aquarius of the Seven of Swords. Getting up in your head or in your feelings. And high vibe energy is about being balanced. And Cancer, the opposite sign on the zodiac wheel from Cancer, is Capricorn. When I get more balance between my emotional nature and my worldly nature of self, that's when I can move forward. It's just like a car going down the road. If you have one flat tire or two flat tires, it's not going to work so well. Some people are very loving. They get in relationships with people who create the illusion they're loving, but it could be more about them or these things of the world, and it's a more imbalanced relationship. And everybody can hope the worldly people hope you'll stay in it more for these things of the world. The loving people hope the worldly people get more inspired by love, and they'll compromise, respecting what each other brings to the table, and they're equally important, and everybody willing to put work and effort to be more balanced in the relationship and require more balance. But the high vibe people love themselves enough, and they're motivated and inspired by the truth that high vibe people are emotionally invested in things being just and fair, and they are willing to emotionally detach from people who aren't just and fair out of love for themselves, which is just and fair. If I have been offering people truth and love and willing to work together with them in a cooperative way, kind of over here, and they want to keep doing this, again, our truth is different. And if that's your truth, then I wish you peace. Go enjoy your life like that. But if there's not more justice, fairness, balance, I can't live a life that's more about those things. That's not the reason I want to be in a relationship. But if that's why you want to be in a relationship because you don't want to align with your more hopeful, believing, loving nature or get more balance within yourself, you don't have to. You can go have that kind of relationship with someone else. And that can be shadowy energy where some people haven't learned to love themselves, have a lot of fear about love, fear of being hurt, could be looking to get in a relationship just to make them feel more balanced, more stable, to love them. But some people think, well, that is other people's job to love them. And some of them is because they love themselves. Everybody should love me, and I make my life all about me, and everybody else should make their life all about me. They live in illusion. So, loving people, offer people, work together with people in a just and fair and loving way. And they will detach from maybe other friends because they offer that to other people. Other people are willing to detach from certain job friendships or relationships or vices if in their free will they are inspired by that and they're willing to put in the work and effort within themselves to work through their own fears and insecurities. Then, love encourages other people to free themselves from things that manipulate them. And some of the shadowy people know the loving people in their life are like that. And they can be really concerned that other people will see that truth and that other people will get in friendship and relationship with those people. It's kind of like, shadowy people can be a little vengeful. How dare those people not make their life about me or these things and stay in a relationship with me for these things? I want those people to be left out in the cold. I might not have told people the truth about why they didn't stay at this job or in this relationship. I could have slandered them. I could have put all my shadowy traits and characteristics and said that was the truth about who they were. And maybe because they had a certain status or image or social clout or something, they thought they could deceive the world about the truth of some people in their life. But as the high vibe people move forward in their life, just living their truth, maintaining balance within themselves, being inspired within themselves, taking action in their truth, over time, other people in the world kind of start to see the truth that I think you are being deceptive about that person. I think maybe you're the one who's more about yourself or the ego or the image or immature or bossy or controlling or stubborn. And the high vibe people really don't care. People can think whatever they want to think because the high vibe people know their worth and value and know that the world is going to think whatever they want to think. But eventually the truth rises to the surface, and as high vibe people take action in their truth from love, and the other people take action from their truth, which could just be illusions about love, and that they really shouldn't have to put in work and effort, and it should just be about indulging yourself in it, and nobody has to grow up and mature themselves, and or maybe the other people do, but not them. Other people see things replay in their life, and it can seem more like an illusion. Like, oh, look how wonderful our life is, and this is based on truth and love, and look how happy we all here at this workplace. And the other people are working with people that inspires other people to love and believe in themselves. This is just kind of more of an illusion. So there you go, Cancer. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.